What's up, listeners? JTM here, and I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Serviceware. Serviceware is an Apple-authorized service provider located in Pleasanton, California. This family-owned and operated business started in 1981 as an electronics repair shop and has since become an industry leader in both phone and computer repair for all of your Apple product needs. Owner Justin Carvaccio is also an avid listener to the podcast, and as TTG's first official sponsor, we couldn't be more excited for the partnership. So next time your Apple product's on the fritz, cut the long lines at the Apple Store and shop local. Head on over to Serviceware where you can rest assured that Justin and his team will give it back to you better than they found it. Learn more at serviceware.com. That's servicewr.com. Enjoy the show. Boom. There we are. Completely different outfits, completely different day.
Yeah.
We're here. We're back again.
This is the first time we're here
wow.
today.
Deja vu. Isn't that right?
Bizarre.
It is bizarre. Hey, this is TTG through the grapevine. JTM in the kitchen here, once again with you for another wonderful episode of not quite a review, TTG shorts, maybe just reflection. But we're happy to be here, Savannah. How are you doing now, so far removed from that poopy incident that took place in your backyard?
I'm so much better now. In fact, my life is thriving.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Things have really turned the corner, if you will.
You think Heidi has got rid of those bangs?
Probably not.
Stamp bangs. Stamp bangs.
Heidi, my neighbor, not my mom.
There, let's be clear. But hey, we're back again. We're going to give this another shot. So hopefully you enjoyed Savannah's first stab in our last episode, which was a farmer's market review. What did we end up calling that, by the way?
I don't think we did.
Well, it'll have a title.
We'll come up with something.
It'll be snazzy, but we want to continue to offer these. We're enjoying this creative writing format as we continue to figure out what this might be. We may decide it doesn't live on TTG and it lives somewhere else. But for now,
TTG Shorts is great.
Yeah. TTG Shorts.
TTG Shorts.
For now, see, we're on to the next version of what it's becoming.
Yeah.
But my offering today was inspired by the Savannah had a moment. Go ahead and have it.
You have a cowgirl boot on your bottle, and I want it. Where'd you get it?
You can get them right now currently at Flacca's.
She's the best sticker maker. I have her little cat here.
Yeah, you got the
pumpkin pie.
I got the pumpkin pie as well.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know this little side note, Aurora Nava, aka Flacca, she gets new stickers every month, and it's usually one or two. She doesn't charge you for them. We just ask that you purchase something, and they're always
so
relevant.
Cute.
They're always
fun.
hella cute. They're always they rock. They rock. So I just got a new little cowboy boot. Kind of shout out to the rodeo.
I feel like I don't know if I should have given. Can I give a shout out right now?
Give a shout out
to Aurora, who's the best. Just one of the best people overall that you'll ever meet. Her daughter and I are both graduating. Yeah. We graduated from the same college and the same university and the same college. So she came and she got me a lane. She got me flowers, and she was just,
better believe it.
Yeah, she was just the best person. And when my name was announced, she cheered for me and everything like that, which was just so nice. It was so special. It was so, she's the best person. So again, Aurora, thank you. Yeah, I love you, and I love that so much.
I forget exactly how our Corner Slice episode, Cam described her, but it was like your fairy godmother or something like that.
She really is.
Yeah.
She really is. It was so funny too. We watched the rodeo parade, and I forgot which one she was on, but by the time Nicole and I kept commenting, we're like, oh my God, why are white people so lame? Like,
oh no.
Because our little section was just quiet, nobody's really cheering or anything like that. It's a parade, have some energy.
Have some fun.
And it was funny because we were talking, we were kind of talking about that. We're like, it's so low energy over here. And then they came by and she was like, come on guys, stop being so boring. And it was getting everybody riled up, and it was so great. And I was like, oh my God, Nicole, it's Aurora.
Let's go.
It was so funny.
Hoorah to that. No, they had fun that day. They had fun that day. Rumors may or may not have ended up Palomino's very shortly after the parade to continue celebrating.
Is it Palominos or Palomoni's?
Depends what time of the day you go.
That's the right answer.
Tomato.
Which also we may be doing a dive bar vlog.
We have teased that in episodes. I think Rachel Kleiss was on that episode.
We've talked about that. We talked about it last time too, because I was texting you at like 10:15 from the Oak Door.
Yeah.
Which I think we have to do it soon, because I think there's a rumor that the Oak Door will no longer be there after a certain amount of time. I heard a rumor that
complex will be redeveloped at some point, but they better make it loud and proud. It's not going to like disappear like accident or like,
I don't know.
Under the radar, or we'll just like throw a party. No, but the answer is like, we want to do like a fun dive bar tour, which would be cool. Which is like an extension of the thought process of like, this kind of review format that we had started with. Interviews has generally been how we how we engage with you all, and we love that. But like, how can we continue to play with our format?
Yeah.
So it's not only fun for you to listen, but so we can continue to have fun. And that's exactly where these things are kind of heading. We got a new studio here, which hopefully you all are loving if you're enjoying on Spotify in particular.
it's awesome in here.
And it's just more to
We
come.
have an on-air sign,
Dude,
which is over the door, which is really cool.
I've been like just trying to figure out like.
Does it say on air? Does it say recording?
It says recording. It says recording.
Okay.
And I haven't finished the reel in my head, but like there's gonna be a great reel that like when it's all said and done, it's gonna be cool.
I just love that it says that so nobody can disturb us, but nobody's ever here to disturb us anyways because they lock like the front door. But it makes us feel like we're so much more important than we are, and
official.
I need that.
So, but we're gonna dive into another. This one's more of I think
I'm really excited for this one.
I'm nervous and excited. So I think I'll introduce the topic, which will make more sense of like what comes next. I wouldn't really call this a review. This is more of a reflection. So at the time that I wrote this one, it was 2 days removed, a day removed from, the third year of, no more Anthony Bourdain with us. Anthony passed 3 years ago today.
It's been 3 years ago?
It's been 3 years ago.
Feels like it was longer than that.
It does.
COVID, man.
COVID
years or
So, in the spirit of having, in these reviews, this was just like heavy on my mind, heavy on my heart. I had a little writer's block with the other offering that I was going to do in place of this. So I just pivoted.
Is exactly what you do if you have writer's block. You go somewhere else.
I just pivoted and this just came out in very quickly with not much revision. So it's going to be a bit raw. And like I said, I do believe it's more of a reflection, rather than like a moment of silence. It's like a moment of dialogue.
And then I'll share the really awesome Anthony Bourdain memes from
some
earlier.
memes. Yeah, you should pull up a few.
I'll find them for you.
You should pull up a few memes. So
I'll get them ready.
We'll go ahead and get this staged. And we're just going to begin. Here we go. Oh, another TTG short brought to you by us. Planet Earth, June 8th, 2024. As we continue to push farther and farther away from the center of meaning, we find ourselves fighting ever more to find answers while we spin through space and time. 3 years ago today, we lost Anthony Bourdain, and while he didn't know me, I can't help but feel that I knew him. Tony spent what felt like a lifetime living what so many like to fantasize as the dream. Traveling the globe, experiencing life, love, laughter, and even sorrow, all through food. A life that so many of us would kill to experience, but for Tony, living this dream would become his undoing. This Manhattan-born journeyman would spend most of his time growing up in Jersey, his father an executive at Columbia Records and his mother a staff editor at the New York Times. In Tony's case, the apple did not fall far from the tree. And after graduating from the CIA in 1978, Tony began a life in restaurants all across New York. In an era of kitchens that is challenging to describe in just a few short sentences, alongside like-minded misfits and chefs, Bourdain navigated the space the best he could. Throughout Tony's tour, he would fall more entranced by this wild world of food and beverage, using the two to compile his own rock and roll resume. Food became the musical offering, while journalism allowed him to express himself lyrically. A symphonic build to his first gold record released in 2000, Kitchen Confidentials, Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly. And at 44 years young, after over 20 years in the industry, Tony caught his break, showing us that it is never too late to be deemed an overnight success, and what happened after that is what we recognize as his legacy. Food is generally at the core of so many of my childhood memories. It was a way for me to connect with my mother in the kitchen before and after long days. It served as a way for me to hang out with my pops on the couch eating dinner and watching a particularly heavy-handed Italian light up America with his Nola cuisine. I was 8 or 9 years old when I was introduced to Bourdain, watching his first series, A Cook's Tour. At first, and likely for some, Tony's style is more reminiscent of a touring musician than a chef. Dubbed by the Smithsonian Magazine as the original culinary rock star, I found it very easy to become enthralled and inspired by his persona. While too young to understand, I felt that I could relate to Tony. At 9 years old, I was really just beginning what was a new chapter of self-realization. My parents instilled a passion for music and food just the same, except the rock stars that I looked up to at the time duked it out in an 18 by 18 ring, jumping from cages, falling through tables, and most memorably, delivering some of the most iconic walk-ins and offerings of poetry a young man could ever know, jabroni. Like he went on to do for millions of us, Tony showed us in a manner that we had not seen before what will become a new generation's definition of self-expression through food. Why have we been given this unique opportunity to explore this amazing landscape? What does it all mean? So many of us spend nearly the entirety of our life seeking these answers, searching far and wide for what we can hope to find this divine meaning of life. Few will succeed, many will fail, and even more won't realize that we may have seen the answers all along the way. It has taken me much time to come to terms with Tony's loss, as I didn't realize what he meant to me. But what he has left us with after his passing is one of his greatest gifts. At the core, hospitality is an industry of service by one, for one another. And when approached with integrity and passion, what can come from this servitude can inspire more than you know. While tragic, Anthony's legacy will be remembered as an unapologetic, real, and meaningful journey, giving us access to so many of the answers that we seek in this wild, spinning rock. In the words of Anthony Bourdain, I leave you with this. Tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are. Shit.
It was so good, though.
Damn it.
It's so good, though. Take a second.
Okay.
Just take a second. Yeah, take a second.
Freaking A, man.
It was so good, though.
Well, thank you.
Look at us. Look at us here crying. Oh, Jeremy, it was so good.
Dang it.
It's a good tribute. I think it's a tribute.
Yeah.
You were saying it's a reflection. I think it's a good tribute.
Well done.
It's a reflection and tribute.
Yeah. That was easier to read by myself in a computer room.
You know what? Also, I don't know if you've ever taken like an HSP like testing, but if you are like highly sensitive, like sensory wise, music can like also really fuck you up.
No, right.
That's like one of the questions for, so HSP is highly sensitive person, and it's literally like your actual like senses, your taste, your smell, and like how that affects your mood. And I've taken this. You guys know I go to a lot of therapy, so I've taken this test, and I am highly sensitive. And so one of the questions is like, does orchestra music like bring you to tears? Is like one of them, or it's like, does orca music like, do you find it nice? Do you find it appealing? Do you not like it? And it's like all those questions. And I'm one of the people that like, it brings me to tears when I hear like really beautiful instruments like being played. I find it so overwhelmingly beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think like the combination of those two things is like almost impossible not to, there's a reason why we have music and movies to help like drive home a point. So,
well, shit, I definitely picked the right song. I should have went with
it was great.
Man. Well, that is, well, I mean, yeah, that was clearly, towards the end there, it has taken me a long time to come to terms. That? Well, to come to terms with that he's just not here. It was a trip. Like after he died, I didn't watch any of his stuff for like 2.5 years. I didn't watch that Roadrunner movie. Yeah, it was just.
Have you read any of his books?
I've read Kitchen Confidential. And his cookbooks. I haven't
read any of his books, so obviously I watch like the shows, but I haven't read any of his books. And recently I purchased Kitchen Confidential. Yeah. So I have it's on my reading list for this summer.
Mean, you obviously love Anthony Bourdain as much as the rest of us. Like I think you're going to love his style of writing.
Yeah. Well, his style of writing is very similar to like his style of how his dialogue that he did for his shows.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is super
against.
I've read like some of his essays and stuff too, which I believe are actually just excerpts from a lot of his books because he's published at least 4.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say maybe he has like 8 in total.
I know.
Some of them being cookbooks, which to
Mm-hmm.
me, my favorite cookbooks are ones that have a narrative.
I agree.
Like I like a narrative.
I
with it.
like following.
I'm not just here for the recipes. I'm here for the narrative.
I like following them as well.
Unless this is an online blog recipe, I'm not here for the narrative. Get me to the recipe. I looked you up for a reason.
The recipe. Oh my goodness, ain't that the truth?
But back on subject, that was so great.
Well,
and I think, you know what is really interesting, and maybe I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and I'm going to ask you to continue to write about Anthony Bourdain, because I think there's also something too that he changed.
Mm-hmm.
He changed culinary media.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that I totally see you going into and discussing because, he changed the way a lot of it was done. Like everybody, like there was cooking shows, there were the competition cooking shows, and sure there were, I'm not sure when diners, drive-ins, and dives like came out, but again, more specifically what he focused on with his shows, because I think he had 3 different ones.
He started with cooks. He had 4 by the end of it.
Yes. What he did is they were more cultural engagement than the other ones, because he also goes all over. He goes all over the world. And I think that's something that's really interesting because what ended up happening with, I would say like food media is that we were really, really focused on what's just tasty, what's interesting, but we had completely gotten rid of cultural aspects about food. And what I really like about Anthony Bourdain is that he brings them back because that's what it always was. And we commodified it to be something differently. And he was just the person who brought that back.
Yeah.
And he brought back a narrative like belonging to certain foods.
Well,
and not to say there wasn't other people out there that did similar things, but like...
It was still so new at the time, too. If you consider, like, he got his first show, 2003. Food Network was born in 93, and it was called like the TV Food blah blah blah. Became Food
conveniently when I was also born.
It was and then like got like
baby.
got a facelift in 1997. But the point is like it was still. I mean, we're 4 years into it's experimental.
Yeah.
So especially around the time he got a show. It was people were trying things. We were seeing, different
like
things.
Like George Zimmerman.
Or Andrew Zimmerman was doing his.
Not George. Oh God,
that's his brother. That's his brother.
No, George Zimmerman is a terrible person. Oh my God, Andrew Zimmerman. I'm so sorry to confuse you two together. That's my bad.
That's all right. And his I forget the name of the show, but he would eat the weird things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can look it up. I can
Andrew
look up
Zimmerman. There was Tony.
But
Guy
nobody
Fieri.
did it the way. Nobody did it the way that Anthony Bourdain did it.
No, and people have continued to build off that narrative, try and replicate that narrative. And you've seen a few successes, but it just hasn't been. And it's not the point, but like no one's replaced that void.
Yeah.
Which is okay because he left us with so much. I mean, there's a lot out there. What part of the globe did he not hit? You know what I mean? So
he did a very interesting one. He was in the Congo and he related it back to the Heart of Darkness, which is it's part of the literary canon.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have never read it because of course in the time that it was written it's insanely like racist, and to me I'm like it's not that important to the I have a whole bunch of beef with like literary canon in general, don't get me started, but I like that he did aspects of that that like I remember watching that episode. I think maybe I was like a sophomore in high school and I was in honors English. So we talked about like a lot of literary works. And I remember we talked about that episode in particular because of its relationship to the Heart of Darkness. Sorry, I'm looking up his shows chronologically.
Anthony or Zimmerman?
Anthony. Zimmerman's were...
You had the one in particular.
We're all pretty much like the same. It was like all about like weird foods.
Anthony's were Cook's Tour, No Reservations, Parts Unknown, The Layover.
No Reservations was probably his...
That was probably
most popular one.
I think that ran the most seasons. And then have you seen The Roadrunner yet? Have you seen the final piece?
No.
It's
And you said you have not watched it.
I finally watched it a few months ago.
And
I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I was happy I watched it. I know Roadrunner got a lot of like people hated it or they loved it.
Why?
It was just polarizing because like it's dark. It's not a love story by any means. No, it's Anthony.
I love it.
It's fucking it's dark and it confirms a lot of the things that everyone suspected was going on in his life. He was, especially late in life, he wasn't always the easiest to work with because of how troubled he became. Kind of a dick at by the end of it, to the point where it's like
Chef is a dick. Oh my God, color me
I
surprised.
know, right? Like who would have thought, right? Considering so.
But I think that's also why it's an important conversation to have because I think a lot of times we see this in like not just like food culture, but we see this in culture in general, any type of like workspaces. There's like behavior becomes accepted because there's a certain power dynamic, right? And we accept like, oh, well, that's part of like, if you want to be here, that's what we're going to have to deal with. But we never really take a second to think of like, why can't we change it? Why is it necessary to have like that certain power dynamic? Like what's purpose is it? We treat everything like it's the military and it really fucking isn't. And you're like, I'm sorry. Like I understand that a restaurant is a well-oiled machine, but by no means do we need to be treating this like I'm a fucking Marine. Like, and you don't need to talk to me like I'm a Marine. That's life and death. This is food. Like, let's get it together. And so I think it's important to have conversations like that. And even also to like call our what we view as our heroes or people that were just really important. It's important to call them out and say like, okay, we can still honor what this person did and the legacy that they like left on the world, and still also say, but these parts of them, we're not going to keep repeating that. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Yeah. Like, and we're going to move forward with it.
And I think, if you haven't, I forget which platform it's on. I would say, watch it. It was a good watch. I'm in the camp that, like I said, I won't say I enjoyed it, but I respected what they offered. It's definitely not what you think it would be. You hope that it's going to be a little more romanticized, a little more of a love story.
See, but that's also sometimes the problem with food culture is that we romanticize too much.
Yeah,
which like, and I get it. I romanticize it. Yeah, I romanticize a lot of things. But I think part of romanticizing, to me at least, is also an acknowledgement of reality. I can't. To me, romantic is the reality, and yet still I romanticize this. Yeah, not because we ignore those parts.
And I think so for me, there was and I watched it with Erica, and when the end of it was a powerful enough documentary where we spent a few minutes after just having a conversation. It was like damn. And then you just reflect a little bit. And we both saw the same thing. She spent a lot of time thinking about me because, as I just said, like so much of who we are as just people, not only chefs in hospitality, was reflected in who Anthony Bourdain was as he traveled the world and saw the world and saw and met everybody through food, right? You slowly become a little bit of everybody more and more than you. So
yeah, it's like what I was saying in the farmer's market one. It's the great connector.
It's the great. And
there's a reason why we have meetings over food. There's me when we're like, hey, let's grab lunch. I want to talk to you. There's a reason why. And it's because food, from a biological level, it helps us like regulate whatever big feelings we're having, because it's really hard to be mad when you're comfortably full and when you just ate something that you liked. And also just because it's so ingrained into our cultural practices, in every cultural practice. Or maybe that's a stretch, but in a lot. In
different, in varying capacities. So I think for me, like the dark part is when you're watching this, really kind of moody final chapter, the final showing, and you're going through all those memories, especially the ones where you're like, that's where I saw me and him, and vice versa. But you're seeing the tragic story. So like in parts of it,
you're
like
seeing it unfold.
You're seeing it unfold, but like it's the internalization of some of those confirmations. Are
you okay with giving an example of one?
And I'm trying to, just particularly his work ethic, to what he was doing.
Too much work
was destructive to any semblance of a personal life. Yeah, which makes sense. We've heard that before.
Which happens in a lot of work scenarios.
Yeah, and I'd say just using that in particular, that like that had 100% to do with kind of what led him to his tragedy. Was working too much, being so passionate and committed to a craft. You talk about being a perfectionist. Tony, fell into a life at 44 years old that he couldn't remove himself from.
Yeah.
No matter how hard he tried to escape.
It's really hard to backtrack things.
So just the commitment, the exposure. This was new. Like I said, he was 44 years young, and now all of a sudden he's a celebrity. It took 18 years old, 20 years old, and maybe it's different, but you spend 44 years being, I don't want to say a nobody, but a kitchen shadow.
I think the other thing too that a lot of people like about Anthony Bourdain is that he was very introspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This wasn't. He doesn't strike me as somebody who was like looking for fame, which I feel, maybe there's nothing wrong with that of like looking to be famous, because to an extent, if you are, I imagine a certain aspect that you're prepping yourself for.
Mm-hmm.
But when that's not your expectation,
that was 100%.
Then like, again, he's introspective. I don't think by any means he's a writer at heart too. Like he's messy in this. Nicole and I just had a conversation about writers, and to me, writers at heart are just, they're messy people, like really big thoughts, really big feelings, extremely like introspective, like very analytical. And when you're constantly moving like that, there's repercussions to constantly doing that.
Yeah.
And especially at a high level.
So, everyone, and he couldn't go anywhere. I mean, there's a lot of celebrities, but like Anthony, especially in New York where he's from, he couldn't walk anywhere. He couldn't go anywhere. So it's a culmination of things, but the combination of, being known, being seen, I speak in me personally, like I'm trying to build a brand where people recognize, not only me, but the things that are important to me, right? Because you're trying to build a brand, not just a business, blah, 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 like all the things. I hope and dream that it'll never be that big, but you just see these reflections of heroes in its most tragic chapter, which is this last chapter of the Roadrunner, which leads to his death by hanging, which, and there's a lot of intricacies and nuances into that type of, perishing and
suicide
in that capacity, which we don't have to get into. So it's just, you have to come to terms. I came to terms or just went through. It was a trip, which is why I think some people just didn't like it. They wanted to feel bubbly and happy and say, oh, Anthony, I'm going to go watch some No Reservations. I felt fucking dark and unsatisfied, but like he finished.
I kind of like that.
He finished the
we
movie.
talk about that in workshop a lot of like the satisfaction of unsatisfaction, because there's an aspect of like what that is as reality. There's a movie that I really like. It's called Win-Win. It's what's his name? Paul Giamatti. And Nicole watched it with me kind of recently, and it's a dramedy, a dark comedy, a drama comedy, which are my favorite movies of all time. Because if you know me, that's me. I'm dark and I like making jokes. But the point being is this character struggles with trying to, make a living and being a family man. And, one of the things that he doesn't want to do is have to be a full-time lawyer in his small town and then also go and bartend at night to make ends meet. So he takes a shortcut, because I don't want to give too much away in case you're interested in watching this movie. So he takes a shortcut, and it has consequences. And he ends up doing the right thing. And Akoa hates the ending because eventually what the right thing is that not everything turned up roses, right? Turned up daisies, or whatever the saying is. And he does eventually do the full-time practice and then goes and bartends at night to like make ends meet for his family. And Akoa was like, oh, I hate that, like, because he did the right thing, and I want him to have everything in life. I'm like, but to me, what's beautiful about it is that he accepted that life was hard. And that to me is what makes it beautiful. Like the movie very beautiful is that it is very unsatisfying, that like, in that sense of like, it wasn't the Disney ending, but it was a real fucking ending. And what was beautiful about it was the acceptance that he did this thing, that he made these sacrifices and learned to be okay with it.
Yeah.
It's a really great movie. It's called Win-Win if you're interested in it.
Win-Win. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the.
It's a wrestling adjacent movie.
Yeah. Okay.
It's cute. I like it a lot.
I'll put that on the. I'll put that on the to-dos.
Yeah. I love Paul
otherwise,
Giamatti movies.
That is
Another Italian to another
to
favorite Italian.
So that is. I don't want to say that concludes, but we'll kind of. Like I said, these are TTG shorts. Reviews, reflections, and we're going to work on that. We were almost there. We're getting better every time. We still don't know what it's called, so we're still figuring that out, guys.
I like shorts. My vote is the TTG shorts.
Okay. Well, keep overcomplicating it for a little bit.
Okay.
But I like that. That could be it. So thank you all for listening. I didn't expect whatever. I'm not going to apologize. I didn't expect to get a little emotional there. But sometimes you just gotta let go, and that's what we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this play this little outro music. We hope you're enjoying the podcast, all those things. It's only gonna get better. We're still enjoying the studio. We're coming back from a little break, which we're always trying to get better at, not completely disappearing, but this isn't what we do full time just yet. So keep subscribing, keep sharing.
Yeah.
Our voice is only as loud as our followers, and maybe one day we'll be able to do this full time. We'll see.
Give us your money.
Give us your money so we can do this for you.
A robbery.
This is and more things. I swear, cool things are going to continue to come. We're
keep following us.
The year is really just beginning, even though it's like June already. So we will have a live event this year. We don't know when that is. But for now, a couple of shout outs. Wing and Bakery just had their 3-year anniversary recently. Hopefully you all enjoyed yourself at the rodeo. Don't forget about your Thursday and Sunday farmers markets.
Yeah.
The Street Fest would have just passed, which was a blast. And you can count on the Altamont Summer Series, the final weekend of every month all the way through summer. So it's summertime. Livermore's here. The kids are out of school and people are trying to have a good time. So give us a follow, share it. Love it. Savannah, why don't you send us out with the old...
live local, drink local, eat local, do everything. Commit
and
your
remember
crimes
to
locally.
eat local, drink local, and live local. TTG, we're out.
Harass your friends locally.
News Story Coffee Drinks are fire.